words, you dumb mother. Say it.
What?
You were gonna call me a weren't you?
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were. What were you gonna call me?
Asshole! How's that, asshole? You got some fucking problem with me because I'm white, Zeus? Is that it? Huh? Have I oppressed you? Have I oppressed your people somehow? I'll tell you what your problem is. You don't like me because you're a racist. What? You're a racist. You don't like me because I'm white.
And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. We need to solve this problem. They are going to kill us.
He walked through his yard and he said he was going to kill the kid.
A 6-year-old girl and her father were shot by a North Carolina homeowner after a basketball rolled into his yard. That's according to Queen City News in Charlotte. And a manhunt is underway for 24-year-old Robert Louis Singletary, who is considered armed and dangerous. He's accused of shooting 6-year-old Kinsley White and members of her family. Now, Kinsley, she's okay. She was treated for gunshot wounds to the face and released from the hospital overnight. Singletary was previously arrested in December for assaulting his 21-year-old girlfriend with a mini sledgehammer.
So I want you to really see the difference in the amount of money that was raised for Ralph Yarl when compared to Kinsley White and her family, who were all shot. So black lives don't matter to who. As you can see here, there are way more people donating and way more money is coming in. Way more. It seems like all the attention is going in one direction and other people are getting overlooked.
You've never seen anything like this before. A 12-year-old, just arrested for murder, is marched shirtless and in cuffs to a waiting car. Then a second suspect gets the same treatment, only he has a shirt on. He's 17. The pair were charged with the slaying of 3 teens at Ocala National Forest that spread fear outside Orlando that a serial killer was on the loose. Police are also searching for a third suspect, aged 16. One victim, 16-year-old Layla Silvernail, was found shot on the side of the road. The next day, a 17-year-old boy was also found dead half a mile away. Police have not released his name. Then on April 1st, the third victim, 16-year-old Camille Quarles, was found dead in the trunk of a submerged car in a pond at the national park.
The attackers left 16-year-old Layla Silvernail injured and dying at the construction site and drove off in her Chevy, discarding the body of a 17-year-old male victim half a mile down the road. On Saturday, deputies found the car in another rural area 9 miles away. It was partially submerged, with the body of a third victim in the trunk, identified by family as 16-year-old Camille Quarles. Sheriff Wood says the 2 suspects in custody confessed to shooting the third victim. He says the juveniles got hold of a weapon through car burglaries.
The bad guy is going to get a gun no matter what law you have put in place.
Do white lives matter?
White lives? It's a bit of a tricky question. No.
In the case of that 6-year-old boy who police say shot his teacher. Tonight, his mother is now charged. And here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the mother of the 6-year-old boy accused of shooting his elementary school teacher being held accountable for the actions of her child. Deja Taylor of Newport News charged with felony child neglect, and a misdemeanor accused of recklessly leaving a loaded firearm accessible to her child. 25-year-old first-grade teacher Abby Zerwerner still has the bullet fragments in her chest after the boy opened fire at Rich Neck Elementary in January.
This was not an accidental shooting. Well, I mean, when you look back on that at 53, do you feel any regret for killing
Hell
those?
no, because I'll kill again. Hell no. Hell no.
Were the people that you killed, were they innocent or were they just...
Yeah, one was a Caucasian, so fuck them.
Put them on TV, show their faces. That's what you got to do.
Police want you to see the suspects' faces in hopes of identifying them. Surveillance cameras near the attack captured some on bikes, a few wearing masks, others seen smiling. All appeared to be young.
It happens all over. I know. It happens on Chestnut Street. It happens on Broad Street. It happens all over.
Data from the 6ABC Neighborhood Safety Tracker shows assaults are on the rise in the area. In the last 3 years, there's been an average of 180 assaults. But in the last 12 months alone, there have been more than 200.
That's when 8 young people began to punch and kick her to the point of losing consciousness. This is her face after that attack. The purple area is her swollen and bruised eye. Below that, her bruised and bloodied cheek.
I'm terrified. I am uncomfortable even standing here right now.
She didn't want to reveal her name, but her father shared this photo of the bruises and damage done to his daughter's face after taking a walk on what seemed like a normal day in the life of this now 34-year-old victim last week.
I was just walking down Chestnut. It was really unprovoked, to be honest.
She could have been killed. Dr. William Corse is the victim's father. He could barely hold back his emotions thinking about the teens who attacked his daughter. I'm so sorry.
This is pretty hard for all of us.
He says she was headed to a hair appointment around 7 o'clock in the evening at 15th and Chestnut last week when someone tapped her on her shoulder from behind.
Next thing you know, she was punched, knocked to the ground.
He says the group of 8 kids were relentless.
It's hard to imagine a teenager being that detached from morality and sense of right and wrong.
As his daughter laid on the ground unconscious, he says one of them allegedly went through her pockets.
All white people are racist. Every single last one of them, all of them are racist.
These are the 2019 criminal victimization stats done by the Bureau of Justice. After Table 15 in the red there, it says there were 5.3 times as many violent incidents committed by black offenders against white victims as were committed by white offenders against black victims. Look at the raw numbers. 472,570 times a black person committed a violent felony against a white person. Keep in mind that there are over 5 times more white people than black people. And yet, and still, black people committed 5.3 times more violent incidents against white people. This is not the perception that you're getting out here in this world from the media, from BLM, black supremacists, black Hebrew Israelite out here. You would get the impression that white people are out here just attacking black people left and right, when they're the ones committing most of these fucking violent crimes. This shit is ridiculous.
Late Wednesday night, the man walks up next to the women, punches one of them, then attacks the other 2 when they try to intervene. The man walks off as other people arrive, hearing the women scream. A witness says it did not look like a robbery, that the beating was for no apparent reason.
Going to Penn, and I said, I'm 23 years old, I go to school in the city.
Both sharing their stories as a warning for other young women.
I carry pepper spray.
Teen stabbed to death by drifter as she skated to mom's house. A 14-year-old girl who was stabbed 25 times in a random attack while skateboarding to her mother's house in Fargo, North Dakota, has died from her injuries.
New at 5 o'clock, a man viciously attacked with a hammer in a possible hate crime.
I hear this lady 2 pump islands over yelling something about a message. And I'm like, I don't know who she's talking to.
She was yelling at him, the shouts turning into a vicious, unprovoked attack.
Gets in my face and start yelling at me about, you got a message for me? You trying to send me a message? You got to send me a message with your fancy car and your fancy boat? She's punching at me. Her hand came up. My glasses go flying, and she was starting to scratch the hell out of my face.
The woman, now identified as Angela Jones, began taunting him and then his wife, Kathy, with race and class-laced insults.
She had words with my wife. She called her a white
and say, I'm sick of you fancy white women, spit in her face.
She ran over to me and started to come towards me, and she looked at me and said, I am so sick of you white.
She said, well, I got something in my car I can put a hole in your boat with. And of course I thought it was a gun, but it wasn't, thank God, because she came out with a regular carpenter's hammer.
This is the damage police say Jones left on the couple's Porsche and boat with that hammer before she turned to attack Bob.
She actually clawed him. He took her down to the ground to prevent her from doing any more damage.
Jones jumped in her Jeep and drove off. She faces malicious wounding, assault, and destruction of property charges in what police are calling a hate crime.
Whatever she saw in us, she got mad at us and decided that she was going to teach me a lesson, I guess.
Race may have been a motive behind the killing of a South Florida teenager. That's what is suggested in an incident report.
New pictures show Semi Lee Williams Jr. with a scratch on his face after a scuffle with deputies as he was being booked into jail earlier this month. He's accused of killing 14-year-old Ryan Rogers in Palm Beach Gardens. According to this Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office incident report, before that scuffle, a deputy asked Williams while being fingerprinted if he understood his charges, to which Williams said, yeah, murder, because of what they did to black people about giving them syphilis. After that, things escalated. That deputy says Williams got physical. The deputy resisted and took Williams down. As he was handcuffed, a sergeant in the report said Williams made an outburst. If y'all didn't help him, I was going to whoop his expletive.
White devil.
White devil. Former state and federal prosecutor David Weinstein says the outburst may be used by both sides in the courtroom.
He seems to be aggressive in nature in general. That's something that the prosecution certainly will try to use against him as his case proceeds down the road. It also appears that he needs some assistance with his mental health, and that's again something that the defense will be addressing and asking the court to take into consideration.
Between 2004 and 2016, Williams faced at least a dozen criminal charges spanning 3 states, including several charges in Florida. CBS 4 News learned that Williams could have been sentenced to 2 decades in prison for a prior crime in Georgia, where Williams allegedly strangled a senior citizen.
He has incorporated his family into this delusional belief system.
Additional video release shows some of what we have already seen. The attacker, James, in that orange construction jacket, carrying the guns and devices for that April 12th attack. It would be 30 hours until James was caught and watched for the first time as FBI agents and police pressed James to tell whether he had any help.
Okay. Are there any more plans to hurt anybody else? I don't know what you're talking about. Fireworks, grenades, anything. I have no idea what you're talking about at all.
No direct admission, but James later said yes, he was on the train, yes, he had a black bag of supplies, and yes, he drove the van the feds say was used to transport the weapons. He also said he had guns in the past, but ATF agents had already tied him to the gun used in the shooting. In the 2-hour tape, at times he tried to nap. Once he wet himself, and he told investigators this.
I'm a loner. I live by myself. All I do, I drink and I make YouTube videos. That's all I do.
What I've heard, and I think, I'll throw to Jason to correct me if I'm wrong, is that this guy was posting like black nationalist stuff.
Yes. He's been radicalized by corporate media. We've been sending black people the message through corporate media that you're a victim, you're oppressed, white people are the devil. And this guy bought what the media was selling. He's from Milwaukee or Waukesha, same area as the Darrell Brooks guy who was radicalized. No one should be surprised that we're creating these types of monsters because the media is basically telling you're crazy if you don't think like this guy.
Who's going to help you?
Nobody.
So who's going to help?
We're going to help ourselves.
And who do we not want to help us?
White people.
That's right.
Linda Young describes the last 2 years as an emotional roller coaster, but she wants everyone to remember who her brother was. This is the parking lot where he was murdered that morning in January, right here in front of the sports bar and grill. Young says she's still fighting to get justice for her brother.
For somebody to cross that line and to do what they did, what he did, he could have stopped, he could have walked away.
You know,
Linda Young says everyone got along with her brother, which is why it's still hard to grasp what happened to him. Investigators say Christoph King beat Scott Jenks to death outside the sports bar and grill.
and he begged him for his life, telling this guy his last words are like, "I love you, Chris, please stop."
Jenks was a bartender in St. Petersburg for more than 25 years. A father, brother, and friend.
The St. Petersburg bar should have stopped fatal hour-long beating. Scott Jenks and Christoph King were regulars at the Sports Bar and Grill, a watering hole in the Northgate Shops strip mall on 94th Avenue. Now check this out. King faces the death penalty if he's convicted of first-degree murder. Court records show the charge was brought under Florida's hate crime statute after police and surveillance video showed King, who is black, calling Jenks a white mother effer. But not only that, during this 79-minute kickfest, he was saying, "F your white light." White light. Now, this is the story of a 75-year-old white guy in a nursing home that was beaten up by a black Hebrew Israelite. A Michigan elderly patient who was beaten on more than one occasion by a 20-year-old man who was staying at the same healthcare facility passed away on Monday after his health reportedly took a turn for the worse after the brutal assault, according to his nephew. Investigators discovered Hayden's YouTube channel where he allegedly assaulted other people, espoused black supremacist views, and accused female celebrities of being men. This is the great melanated Hebrew Israelite king. Hayden also uploaded a number of racially charged videos to YouTube, with one entitled, "Why Black People Became Slaves." In the video, the suspect proclaims that the black race is the chosen race. The black race was supposed to rule the earth, but now they have to go to the white man for everything, and that's not good.
Do we serve these people? We serve them, don't we? We go to their jobs. We got birth certificates, everything. We pay them for our light bills, right? Watch this. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. So this is a curse. He said, therefore you going to serve your enemy. Watch this. Which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger. In hunger. Who you get our food? Where we get our food? Who own the stores? White man. The white man. Watch this. And in thirst. And in thirst. Where we get our drinks from? Who own the store? The white man. Watch. And in nakedness. Where you get all your clothes from? Who own Nike? The white man. Go ahead. It says, and in want of all things. And in want of all things. In the want of all things, he who? The white man. The white man. So that's some of the dumb stuff that this guy was talking about, how Hebrew Israelites teach that you gotta go to the white man for everything. As if you can't get these things from any other race. Police also are investigating other videos Hayden allegedly posted on YouTube, which police say appear to show him assaulting others. There are videos in which Hayden makes racial remarks and says COVID-19 is God's punishment for gays and lesbians.
See this bitch ass nigga again? If you get off my dick, this bitch ass f off my bed, man. F off my bed. F off my bed. Bitch ass bitch.
Brutal attacks in downtown Minneapolis caught on camera. A warning, though, the videos are disturbing, but also revealing of a new crime trend. Violent robberies were up dramatically this summer in downtown Minneapolis until police connected the dots, now with more than a dozen suspects captured in surveillance videos.
The victims who were seriously injured in those assaults also appear to have been targeted in these coordinated attacks. Tom Lydon joining us. And Tom, sounds like there's a real pattern to all of this.
Yeah, the pattern is that all the victims are white. But will they point it out? No.
Kelsey, Randy, there is a definite pattern. Most of these robberies and assaults are happening in a very particular part of downtown, from Hennepin to 2nd Avenue, with a real hot spot between 6th and 3rd Streets, essentially north of the Theater District to the Central Library, and mostly between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. And in almost all the cases, the suspects were after something very, very specific: the victim's smartphone. 5th and Hennepin, 3 weeks ago tonight. A man is staring at his smartphone on a corner still bustling at 4 a.m. Another man strikes up a conversation, and within seconds, he is surrounded by 6 others and brutally beaten. It goes on for a couple minutes. No one steps in. Who would? The victim is left unconscious on the sidewalk. All of this for his cell phone. A few days earlier, and a few blocks away, a dice game at Target Field Plaza ends when a cell phone is swiped and a brutal beatdown begins. The victim is stripped, punched, and kicked in the head. He's defenseless as the suspects jump on him, throw potted plants on him, and ride over him on a bike.
The videos to virtually everybody that saw it were very disturbing. The vast majority of these incidents involve groups of males. Sometimes a female will be involved, and they are targeting specific victims.
The white man.
If you will.
Drunk victims.
Exactly.
The white man.
Sometimes they'll ask for a cigarette or to use a phone. Or in the case of this man walking through the light rail station, they'll block his path, harass him, while someone picks his pocket.
A tourist fights for his life as an angry mob repeatedly chases him down and ultimately beats him senseless. An attack LAPD is now calling a hate crime. The confrontation started because the victim, who had just stepped off a subway on Hollywood Boulevard, told a street preacher that he was delivering the wrong message. Several people took offense and resorted to violence.
I've never seen this in my life.
The mob was relentless. Watch the man in the red shirt kick the victim after he's already down and unconscious.
LAPD is searching for 2 suspects who violently beat a woman in Hollywood tonight. We have their photos. First time we've seen that. The incident happened on Saturday near Hollywood and Las Palmas. Here's video of it. Police say the victim was leaving a nightclub after celebrating her birthday when she began to argue with 2 men. One of them then punched her and kicked her in the face.
A visit to Chicago turned into a terrifying ordeal for one woman. She and her boyfriend were downtown on Saturday when they were attacked by a mob of teens.
We got done shopping and we were hungry, so we went to go look for some food, and we encountered like a huge group of people, probably 60, maybe more.
Ashley Knutson and her boyfriend went downtown Saturday afternoon. A few hours later, around 6 p.m., they were in the 100 block of Wabash when they were assaulted and robbed, as several large groups of teens converged in the loop, jumping on cars and buses, kicking passing cars, and smashing vehicle windows.
He turned around and he said, "Who pushed her?" And immediately, as soon as he said that, they went crazy. "I'm gonna kill you," like, started beating on him. They pulled me to the ground.
Video posted to social media shows the mob attacking the couple on the sidewalk.
Charged with kidnapping and murdering an Atlanta bartender will remain in jail. Police say back in August, 27-year-old Mariam Abdul-Rab was abducted at gunpoint outside a South Atlanta home. She was found dead hours later. Investigators believe DeMarcus Brinkley is responsible for her death. Brinkley was taken into custody following a chase that ended in a crash and him in the hospital. This morning, he made his first court appearance in Fulton County on multiple charges. Brinkley is also on probation for child molestation.
Bennett and Savon Morrison are in jail without bond for allegedly killing Jeffrey Chapman, a bicyclist in Clearwater. Hours before Chapman was killed, police say the 2 men attacked an elderly man with a tire iron. Right now, he's still recovering. Reporter Malik Rankin joins us now as the survivor of those attacks gets on his feet.
This finger has quite a bit of pain because it was basically damaged the most.
John Budinas has 2 broken ribs, a broken ulna and radius, a shattered right hand, and might lose his left index finger.
I knew I was in trouble because there was a lot of blood.
John Budinas was walking home from his job at the Trop late at night on October 20th. This is a walk he regularly takes. He tells me 2 men pulled over and beat him to the ground with a tire iron. As he was laying in a pool of his own blood, he tried to wave down anyone for help, but no one came.
My legs weren't damaged, so I was lucky enough to be able to get up and walk across 22 and up to Wawa's. Called the police, called an ambulance.
Because of his injuries, Budinas is unable to work the job he needs.
You almost can't comprehend how you're going to get caught up.
The 79-year-old lives in St. Pete alone with no family, but he's got Katie Pearson.
It's just heartbreaking because he's such a gentle soul. And then to see that he is suffering as an end result, not only from the attack, but like the financial burdens that this has just plummeted him into.
The 2 have gone from strangers divided by a bar to friends over the years.
He's a stubborn old man, and he's got a lot of will and strength.
The best. It's the only way you can describe her.
Pearson created a GoFundMe to help Budinas cover costs for medical bills and other expenses while he's out of work.
I think it's just a matter of time before he's back to working at the Trop. It's only a matter of time. We just got to get him out of this hole.
It's quite astonishing. It really is. You know, people that you just were friendly with come forward and make you feel really good about our relationship. Katie's number 1.
In St. Pete, Malik Rankin, 10 Tampa Bay.
And we've got a link to the GoFundMe on 10 Tampa Bay. And despite all that's happened, Budinas considers himself lucky. Just hours after his attack, those 2 men went on to allegedly kill someone else.